Hey guys, it's Jenny Silver. We are doing live EDD Q&A today. I'm on a weird, like semi-broken camera. Well, it's not a weird camera. It's an expensive camera, but it's kind of a little bit broken. So if I look a little magenta, that's why, because it's getting shipped out to Canon tomorrow. All right, you guys, we are doing Q&A for EDD related things. Anything else, state of California, that you want to talk about as well? First, I want to reiterate to you, before I start taking questions, exactly what is required of you, because many people are worried or stressed or not quite sure about the most recent requirements sent out by California EDD. So if you received a PUA claim, yes, PUA has already ended. It ended back in September, but if you received PUA at any point in time, you may be receiving a new documentation request in UI Online, in the mail, etc. So you need to be on the lookout for this, because if you claimed that you had self-employment income previously, if you claimed that you had an offer to start a job that was canceled due to COVID, those are the specific claims that are mostly targeted by this, but others are also receiving this request for documentation as well. So basically, if you received PUA, you want to make sure that you log into UI Online and check for this, because in my specific claim, yes, I received PUA for a few months. I logged in and it was there, and they didn't send me mail. They didn't send me an email notification or anything. So what you need to send for that is they are looking for a verification of any claims that you made on your application. So if you claim self-employment income, if you claimed that you were going to start a job, you basically want to send over any documentation that you have on that. You're not going to need to pay back your benefits as long as you follow up with them, provide the documentation asked. So I'm sure there are plenty of questions about that today. So I'll drink my tea and I'm going to start with questions. All right. There we go. All right, KMO, how will California EDD contact us about the proof of income requirement? I responded 2 times over the last 2 years with this evidence. This is repeated documentation for some of you. Many of you were asked back in the winter last year for income verification. Income verification is different than work documentation. So do you have to provide it again if asked? Yes, you do have to provide it again. It's for a different requirement. They might be sending out these letters by default, or they might actually need it again because they're not good at cross-referencing things. So you're going to look in UI Online. You're going to log in there, and you're going to look for a notification in your action items at the very top. If you see a button there that says that you need to upload documents, then that is the notification that you're going to receive. Now, others are receiving a letter in the mail, some are receiving an email, and some are receiving a text message, and some just see it in UI Online. So make sure that you log in and actually check for it, because unfortunately, not everyone is going to receive the same notification. All right, what information needs to be on the signed affidavits verifying my self-employment? How many should I submit, and who can write the affidavits for me? Is there a template? Okay, so I have a question into my contact at the EDD. I have 5 or 6 questions into my contact at the EDD, and I asked him, that was one of the specific questions that I asked for clarification on, exactly what needs to be in this affidavit in order for the EDD to accept it. He has let me know that he is working on getting that information for me, but he does not have it yet. So an affidavit is basically a statement that can act as a testimony in a court of law, essentially. Basically, you are giving a sworn statement and signing your name to it. And that's basically all an affidavit is. So what you would state is whatever information the EDD is looking for, I would expect that you would simply write, they're looking for self-employed income. You would state that you were self-employed, give the dates that you were self-employed, give what you did as self-employment, tell them what you earned, etc. So give all information that essentially would be provided on a tax return, a business license, etc. But I am asking my contact there for that information, so I want to wait and see. You guys, it's a red, rashy day today. It's just the pitfalls of being pale. If you're pale like me, you understand. So do you have to get it notarized is another question that I'm getting. You should not need to get this notarized, but once again, I do want to hear back from the EDD and see exactly what they say on this. But an affidavit, you guys, let that be the last thing that you send to them. Number one, try to send your tax return. Tax return is going to be the strongest point of documentation. It's going to have everything that they need to see on it for verifying that you worked and earned income, whether it be self-employment or W-2 employment. After that, then they ask for business licenses. Seller's permits would also be something that is a legally signed document, Secretary of State registration, anything like that. If you have articles of incorporation, if you're an LLC, business receipts they asked for, bank statements, etc. So if you are someone who's sending an affidavit, please don't send it alone. Try to send other supporting documents with it. Yes, they say that they'll accept it, but because they haven't not yet released statements on exactly what it should contain, I do want you to try to fill it in, substantiate it with additional documentation if you can. All right, scrolling up. Allie, we've gotten your California rent relief. You have not, I think you mean to say have not gotten your California rental relief money yet. Why? It's taking a long time. That program is extremely delayed. I did a Q&A with one of the higher ups in that program, and that Q&A is on my channel homepage. You can watch it. There's a lot of information in there, but the problem with that Q&A is that a lot of it is kind of giving information as if the program operated perfectly. The program does not operate perfectly. It is extremely delayed, and they have a lot of people applying for that assistance. So yes, people are seeing it take several months. I've had some of my subscribers tell me that they have been paid out for that program, but it is not the majority. They are taking many months in order to do it. All right. John, my Schedule C is among 36 pages. How do I separate the Schedule C to upload it solely? Okay, so if you have a tax return and it's a PDF and you need just the Schedule C, then you can open that PDF on your computer and you should be able to screenshot the page. So if you, I don't use a Mac, I use a PC, and I think I'm the only photographer that does that. So you're going to take a screenshot of the actual page of the Schedule C if you don't want to send the whole tax return. Save that screenshot as either a JPEG, a PNG, or as another PDF, and then go ahead and upload that. Make sure that you screenshot in high resolution. So I would not recommend screenshotting it from a phone. I would do it on your actual computer. All right. And on that note, you guys, I did upload my, sorry, hold on. I uploaded my full tax return myself because I had to verify my self-employment income because I did collect for a few months when my business first shut down. So I uploaded my entire tax return because it was easier for me to do so. And so check your document size and make sure that it fits. And if it works to upload the whole thing, then there's no need to screenshot just the Schedule C because they do state that a full tax return will be accepted. All right, Karen. So polite to say that EDD isn't real good at cross-referencing. They are not. They are not the best at many things. And I think cross-referencing is the least of their problems. All right, Joe, if you do not have a scanner, what is the process? Okay, if you don't have a scanner for your documents, they state that you can either upload scanned documents or photos. Be very, very careful of uploading photos because if it is blurry, then they will reject it. So you can upload photos, but please make sure that you zoom in and make sure that it's very clear if you zoom in and you check the quality up close before you send it over. Additionally, you can go to like a FedEx, Kinko's, etc., and have them scan it for you, which is a few dollars in order to do that. All right, Evelyn. Okay, so I'm not currently, thank you for asking, I'm not currently taking on one-on-one clients right now. When I do open that back up, then I will post that somewhere, but I do take on very limited. All right. John Carlos, I don't have 2019 required. Got a minimum of 167. Can I send 2020? 1040 Schedule C. I made $3,000 in January through March prior to my start date. John, where is the rest of it? There it is. If I send those tax filings along with my personal statement and maybe even notarize that I made that money in the period of 2020, that should do it, yes? Okay, now I got to go back and read what the aforementioned statement. Don't have 2019 required. They want to see the documentation that they need in order to prove that you had what you claimed on your application. So when you filed your application, what did you write were your 2019 earnings? That's the documentation that they want to see, and that's why they're asking for that. Unemployment claims and PUA claims are based on the 12 to 18 months worth of income prior to the start of your claim. So when you file an application online, they ask you for those earnings. That's why they're asking you for this documentation now. So will you be able to prove your prior to your claim's earnings based on what you made during your claim? No, unfortunately, it does need to fall within the dates that they specified on your notice. So double check your notice. Make sure that you're providing documentation within the dates that they specify. You guys, my broking, I'm pale, you guys, and I'm hot. It's red and rashy, and this camera is broken and it's extra magenta and it's highlighting it. So enjoy that. All right, I already did that one. David, a stop payment on my claim was June 18th. They began payments 10 weeks later and said I would need a phone interview. It was finally scheduled November 3rd and they didn't call. Do I still need an interview? Okay, so if they canceled the interview, then they remove it from your UI online. Did they simply not call, or did they remove that requirement from UI online dashboard? Now, let's see. If they have a stop payment, if you are still pending, one of two things. Either they still require it, but they just plain didn't call, which the EDD has been known to do, or they no longer require it and they're not notifying you. Either way, I would call into the EDD and try to figure out what is going on, because you do want to make sure that if they tried to connect with you and for some reason the call didn't come through, that you're being proactive about trying to reach out to them and get things covered so that you can receive those payments if they were stopped. So I would try to contact the EDD. Annie can post the call tips in the chat box right now. And you can contact your assembly member, but I would actually start with the EDD first because they're trying to contact you directly. So I would start there with that. All right, scrolling down. Did I get sunburned? Okay, no, I didn't get sunburned. Sometimes when I talk, I get red and rashy. And you guys, my camera's broken, like this sensor board. And I have like other cameras here, but I didn't switch my broken camera off. And so it makes reds and magentas look even more so. So this is just not the best quality video today, but it's how it's going to be because my life is chaos. All right, Karen, tax return question. Just the Schedule C, pages 2, and not the whole dang return, Karen. I already scanned and sent just Schedule C. Schedule C has everything that they need. Schedule C has who you are. It has your identity verifying numbers. It has all of your business information and any business license numbers, etc. with it. It has your income and it has your deductions from your business. So it has everything that they need. Schedule C should be just fine. I uploaded my whole tax return because I was too lazy to pull out my Schedule C. I figured that they could sort it out. They state tax return. Schedule C has everything they need, so that should be fine. All right, Allie, I haven't gotten my California rental relief. Verify. Okay, I already answered that one. Hi, Michael. Hey, Jeannie, I figured I'd drop by in the chat just to say hi. Wish I could be in this live stream today, but I'm working. Yes, you guys will notice that my moderator is different. It is Annie. It is not Michael. Michael is at his full-time job today, and I'm very grateful for Annie for helping out. Annie works for me on my photography side of my business, but she was first a YouTube subscriber before she worked for me, and she is wonderful. All right, Paula, can I just send them my 1099 I earned? So technically, I believe that you should be able to do so. The EDD did not list this in their accepted documentation, but they state this is not a comprehensive list. We will accept additional documents. Now, previously, the EDD required income verification. That's a different form of verification that they needed in this journey. And income verification did not accept 1099s. Why? Because 1099s only show gross income. They do not show net income. And your whole claim is based on net income. Now, this is not income verification. This is a verification this time around just to prove your work history. So they just want to see a business license, business bank accounts, etc., tax return. So a 1099, I believe, should be fine, but this is one of the questions that I have into my contact at the EDD that I'm trying to ask for clarification on to make sure from the EDD's mouth that they say that it is fine. All right, how can you add a kid on tax credit? All right, this is one of the things that has not yet been rolled out to my understanding. I have not checked the child tax credit dashboard in about 1 week. So if it was added in the last week, my apologies, but IRS has not yet added this function. They keep saying that it will come later, and it has not come. So you will be paid retroactively for that tax credit as long as it's still being paid out. But currently, you still cannot add a child in that portal. All right, Evelyn at 311. Do they have mortgage and utility help? Okay, so they will eventually. And let me share my screen so I can show you. Okay. Eventually, but it has been sitting here like this. You see this program status area? It's been sitting there like that for about 3 months, maybe longer, stating that they have submitted their plan for mortgage assistance to the Treasury and is waiting on Treasury approval and funding. California has received approximately 10% of the funds from the Treasury for mortgage assistance, but they have not received all of the funds, and they do not have final approval from the Treasury yet. They do have that approval. They're not sharing it. So this is one of those programs that is taking forever to roll out, even longer than rental assistance. As soon as it gets moving, I will issue an update right away because I am on their mailing list. I am checking it weekly. My research assistant checks it all the time. So as soon as that rolls out, I'll make sure that I let you guys know. All right, the affidavit comes from me or from people that know of my self-employment. The affidavit would come from you unless you are trying to get a statement from someone else to back up your claim. So it does not hurt to send more documentation than they ask for. They have the ability to upload multiple documents on the portal. So it doesn't hurt to send along two. That's one of you and maybe one of a client that you had help you, that paid to hire you back during that time frame. So they're looking for an affidavit from you, but what I'm saying is it doesn't hurt to send more. All right, Michelle, for planned work, I sent handwritten business plans for self-employment and the contract info of the business owner and the offer. Okay, so if you sent handwritten business plans for self-employment and also a contract for an offer from another business, I think is what you're saying. Okay, good. Yes, they want to see that documentation that you were offered a job if that was the claim that was made on your application. So it sounds like you covered that base and you sent in handwritten business plans. Okay. I would always advocate for trying to type them up and present them as professionally as possible. So if you have not yet sent it in, I would consider taking the time to type it up and make it a little more official. Okay, Evelyn, how do I find your homepage or website? Thank you very much. So my channel link, you just click on the icon for my channel right below this video. It'll take you to my channel homepage. I do have all my websites, some of them. I have a lot of websites linked in the video description as well if you want to check out my other areas. Most of my e-courses right now have been pulled down though, but they'll be coming back up. All right, Karen, you're very welcome. James at 313, having a net loss should not disqualify me from PUA if I received the minimum weekly benefit award amount, right? My tax return shows minus 1K net income and gross of 9,000. I put 9K on the original application. Okay, so if you're, you put 9K on the original application. Okay, oh, James, I'm gonna pause for a second. Okay. The original application for self-employment asks for net income. I have it in my video, my very first video that I made where I walk through the online application. It shows on the screen where it asks for net income. So James, I'm concerned here because you said that you put 9K on the application, and that, my friend, as I fixed my shirt with a serious conversation, that is incorrect because they're asking for your net income. That would mean that you were overpaid. So I'm a little worried for you here. So first, let's answer your question here that you're asking. Having a net loss would disqualify you from PUA. It wouldn't disqualify you because you would receive the minimum amount if you had plans to start a business and it was derailed due to COVID, which you did, and you have documentation that you were starting a business, that you were either setting up, you had operating costs, etc. So you can prove that. But the problem here is the net versus gross issue. You're gonna have to provide your documentation to the EDD. They may see that discrepancy there, and honestly, it's going to be best if you self-correct it yourself so that if you do have a problem, it's non-fraudulent and you corrected it yourself. So I would highly recommend that, I know this is painful, but that you submit that change and make that correction. Okay, hi Jenny, what about us in California when we were on lockdown and our kids were online in school? This question has been coming up a lot. This is one question that I asked my contact and I'm waiting for his reply back. I specifically asked, PUA claimants are receiving a request for employment verification when they were not employed before, had kids that had to stay home, and then could not continue to seek out a job because they had to stay home with their kids who were doing distance learning, etc. So I'm waiting for an exact response back from the EDD. But what I would do personally, if it were me, is I would submit, first of all, I would submit your tax return from last year. If you had any earnings on it, then they want to see it. If you don't have any earnings on it, then, well, at least you're sending over that documentation because they asked for it. It still backs up what you said on your application. You're not doing anything wrong, but might as well send them the documentation. Next, I would also include correspondence from your child's school. So if they were in daycare or if they were in public school, private school, etc., whatever that is, any school communication stating that your child had to do distance learning and the duration of that, then I would send that over as well. In addition to that, I would also send a signed affidavit from yourself stating and explaining the entire situation. Sign it, date it, make sure that it is typed, and send that over as well. Okay, Julia is saying they asked for gross back in April 2020. So as I just said, I have it in my video. You can click on the video and watch it. My version of the application that I received online in April 2020, on the very first day it was released, asks for net, and you can see it on the screen. But that's not to say that everyone received the same version of the application, because we have all seen different versions of things circulate. And if you filed using a paper form, their forms were not necessarily updated for PUA. So my experience may not have been yours, but in my experience and what I show in that video, they did ask for net, but not saying that your experience is incorrect. Okay. Karen has no scanner, go to Office Max, 25 cents per page. All right. Taylor or something. Hello, is a Schedule C necessary for each side gig, or will uploading one side gig meet the requirements? So the EDD is trying to verify the claims that you made on your application. Because your application is based, most likely, on all of your side gigs, your self-employment streams, I would upload them all. You can simply upload the entire tax return, and that most likely will be the easiest and safest bet. But yes, I would provide them all. All right, Elaine, can I just save my Schedule C as a separate PDF file instead of screenshot so I don't have to send my entire return? That should be fine. Uploading the entire return for me was fine. It didn't have any problems with size, but everyone's experience will be different. Schedule C should be, for some reason I always trip up on that phrase, Schedule C should be fine because it has all the information that they need. It has your identifying numbers, your business license numbers. It has all of your financial information there with your income. So Schedule C should be fine. All right, Latoya at 314. If my zip code is 94578, when do I get the Golden State stimulus? Okay, your last 3 digits are 578. Let me open this. Hold on. Okay, last 3 digits are 578. Direct deposit timeframes, no. Paper check. 978 is going to be this last one down here. So it's going to be sometime between 12/27 through January 11th. And how do I get back? The EDD states, the California Franchise Tax Board states to allow up to 3 weeks for them to send it after that date. All right, scrolling down. How does the extension work? 315 from the online business store. Extension, are you talking about extension to PUA? Not PUA. To UI, so PEUC and FedEd. Unfortunately, those extensions have ended. PEUC and FedEd, which were the extensions to traditional unemployment, were pandemic-related programs, and those have all ended. Unfortunately, there are no extensions at this point in time. All right, Shamrock at 315. I stated to EDD that I had no 2019 tax return when I did the application. I was working as a subcontractor through my sister's cleaning business and my Shamrock. I can't, well, how about I just go on what we have? Okay, I'm going to go on what we have. You stated that you didn't have a tax return. You were working as a subcontractor. If you were working as a subcontractor, then you would have received 1099s, and you would have needed to file tax return if it was for an amount $400 or over in terms of net self-employment income. So you would provide your tax return, but you say you don't have a tax return. Okay, so maybe you earned less than $400 and you weren't required to file a tax return. In that case, then you would provide any other proof of work. So you can talk to, who are you working for? Your sister's cleaning business, and have them provide a statement. You can also provide if you're a subcontractor, she's gonna, oh, Shamrock, I can't answer this without knowing more information. Shamrock, how much did you earn? Tell me how much you earned so that if it's over $400, then I can give you more detailed information. Stacy says, I'm overwhelmed. Stacy says, relax. I'm not overwhelmed. My redness, that's just me being pale, my friend. And also my camera has a magenta problem. Okay, Celeste. My job offer was via a phone call. Do I need to get a letter from the employer for my job intent And do I need a letter putting that job on hold? Yes, I would obtain a letter in writing from them signed with their business information on it. So have them list their business name, have them list their EIN number, their employer identification number, have them sign it, and have them state that they offered you a job on this date and that they were not able to provide you with that promised job due to the pandemic. And then I would provide that as documentation to the EDD. Okay, let's see. That's just Annie. That is Olga. Okay. Hi, Jenny. I was self-employed. I gave private Spanish classes. What should I present? Okay, so if you were self-employed, you're going to provide your tax return from the year that the EDD asks you for. So you're going to look in, let me share my screen again. You're going to look, that's not what I want. There it is. Okay, you're going to look in UI Online. You are going to look for the action items at the top where it asks you to upload a document. Click on that. And then once you start to upload, go through that upload process, you're going to see this letter here. It's going to have your own unique dates here, and it's going to tell you the dates that you need to provide that documentation for. So make sure that you look there and reference your own unique date, but then you're going to provide your tax return for that year. You're self-employed, so you're required to have a Schedule C to claim that self-employment income. You can just upload the entire tax return. All right, Brandy, after I drink this tea. I'm at 319. All right. I earned $114,400. I was going to give you a raise. I was going to read it as 144. I earned $14,400 in 2019. Unfortunately, my Schedule C claims only $400, and the remaining $14,000 is listed as miscellaneous wages. Told EDD $1,440, since that's the total I earned. Am I screwed? Okay, so while I'm not sure why it's listed as miscellaneous wages, you would want to correct any statement that you provided on your application that you found to be an error. So if you found that discrepancy, that you told them that amount, but on your tax return, you actually only earned a very different amount, you would want to correct, well, you don't want to, but you will need to correct that with the EDD. If you correct it yourself, then it will not come back to bite you later on when they discover the error on their own through checking your documentation. So I would make sure that you correct that with the EDD. I'm sorry to hear you had that error. All right, David at 319. Thank you. My phone log shows no calls in at all and didn't receive a notice. Okay, David, I remember you were talking about a phone interview. Yes, I would still call the EDD, use those call tips that were shared previously, and try to make sure that you at least know that you are still waiting for that phone call and that phone interview, because you don't want to miss it. And they don't always update that UI Online. All right, how do I get Golden State stimulus? My zip code is 94578. Okay, the first thing you need to do in order to qualify is you need to have filed your 2020 income taxes by October 15th. So if you filed those, the next thing is that you must have a California adjusted gross income that is below $75,000 or below. That goes the same whether you're single or married filing jointly. $75,000 is the hard cutoff. The next thing is that you must have had wages in the amount of $0 to $75,000. Next thing is that you must live in California for the first, for 6 months out of last year. So in tax year 2020, you must have lived in California for 6 months, and you must be living in California on the date that the payment is disbursed. So those are all the requirements. Now, if you meet the requirements, you also cannot have received it the first time around. It is not a second payment, it's expanded eligibility. So if you received it the first time, then it is not coming. Now, if you meet all those requirements, then you are going to most likely be awaiting a paper check if you have not yet received direct deposit. So if your zip code, your last 3 digits is 578. Let's pull up the chart and look. All right, last 3 digits is 578. You fall within this range, so you can anticipate the check being mailed out sometime between November 29th and December 17th. Additionally, you must allow up to 3 weeks to receive it after that date. That was a lot of talking. All right, give me a second. Scrolling down. Everyone in my house has been sick. It's probably the reason why I'm so rashy today. I'm kind of feverish. But the kids got COVID tests yesterday. We did rapid tests too, but I had to get a real one for my son. It's not COVID. All right, Daryl. Well, as far as I'm, hold on. I had rented a car to drive for Uber on March 15th, Saturday. That morning I went to the ER with a heart attack. I'm so sorry to hear that. I was, okay, and COVID hit on the 18th. I'm sorry to hear that, Daryl. I hope you're recovering all right. I don't see the rest of your question here, Daryl, but if I come across it, I will finish answering it for you. All right, John. EDD is asking for proof of self-employment between January 2019 and March 2020. Not sure why showing I was self-employed and file taxes for January and February and part of March. Work since in dates requested. Oh, John, I'm having trouble with this one. File taxes for January and February and part of March. Okay. John, you have to clarify your question. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't know what it's saying. I'm sorry, John. Try asking it again, please, and I'll find it down below. All right, Stacy, I need help with my parents' EDD claim. Stacy, you're going to have to tell me more information about it, specifically the problem and question that you have. Olga says, Jenny, help. My brother is retired, but he was self-employed during the doing maintenance jobs. Okay. Olga, I'm not quite sure. Sorry, guys. This is like a stream of the questions that don't seem to make sense to me. Olga, I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Please rephrase it with the specific problem and question that you're having, and I'll do my best to help you. All right, E.T., thank you very much. I appreciate that. Monique, do you think for those of us who will still have not received our Golden State 2, will we have a chance to receive it as direct deposit? I got my taxes direct deposit. Okay, so if you filed your taxes late and they're still processing, then there is still a chance that it could be paid out through direct deposit because they simply need to keep processing. And then the EDD, I keep saying EDD for this, the Franchise Tax Board will then issue the payment 45 days after they have processed your return. That could still come through direct deposit. However, if that is not the case for you, the Franchise Tax Board stated that after November 15th, and today is the 13th, so we got Sunday. I doubt that it's coming through on a Sunday. We have Monday, so we have one more business day. If it doesn't come through on Monday the 15th, the Franchise Tax Board spokesperson that did a news interview last week stated that you should anticipate to receive it as a check if you don't receive it by the 15th. All right, GB Love at 322. Can I amend, you guys, bad choice of wardrobe. Can I amend tax return for 2019 and send one first to EDD? Okay, send that one first. The one before you amend it and the one after. If you need to amend your 2019 return, such as you did not claim self-employment income in the right amount and you need to adjust it, then yes, please amend that. But you're going to want to send over to the EDD the document that proves the claims that you made on your application. So yes, amend it and then send the amended one with the corrected amounts over to the EDD. Science Exchange at 322. Give me a second. Will gig workers have to provide documentation? Yes, yeah. So anyone who is asked to provide documentation will need to provide their documentation. So if you're a gig worker, I have a very good video for gig workers that's going to come out probably later tonight. And it's kind of a remake of an older one that I did about things that you need to know kind of on a business end that you guys often aren't told by some of the bigger Uber, Lyft channels, et cetera, that are really important. So are you going to have to provide documentation? Yes. As a gig worker, you are self-employed. You are going to need to report your self-employment income on your tax return if it is in the amount of $400 or more. So you're going to provide your tax return to the EDD in most cases. So it should be a simple upload of your tax return. All right, Olga at 322. Ginny, my brother was self-employed doing maintenance work as a complete, but because he is retired. Okay. What documents can he send in? Thanks so much. Okay, so he was self-employed doing maintenance work. He's going to send in his tax return. So whatever the year that the EDD is asking for, his Schedule C on his tax return is going to show and document that income that he earned from self-employment, as long as he did everything legally and filed income taxes. So you're going to send over that tax return. All right, I'm at 323. I have gotten all benefits from EDD, and I even got a job earlier in the year, but it was temporary. So I was able to resume my EDD benefits. Okay, so you got a job early in the year, but it was temporary. So you're, okay, I think you're just sharing. Thank you for sharing. All right, Sarah, can I file a new unemployment claim? If you are unemployed due to no fault of your own, you can file a new regular unemployment claim. As long as you have reached the end of your benefit year, if you were previously collecting, and you qualify for a new claim. Programs such as PUA, PUC, FedEd have all come to a close. So if you were self-employed, no, you cannot file a new claim, but traditional unemployment claims continue on. All right. Science exchange, 323. What about food and lodging in exchange for gig workers? I already provided documents for 2019 and 2020. Okay, so I think that you're saying that you provided a service and then you were paid in exchange for lodging and not income. So the EDD is asking for you to prove that you were self-employed. So you're going to have some sort of contract, some sort of correspondence, some sort of business license, etc., that you may be able to provide to them. Now, if you are receiving PUA, on your application, they would have asked you how much you earned in your net self-employment income and based your claim on that. So they're just trying to look at your documentation and verify that you were self-employed to back up that claim that you made on your application. So if you claimed an amount of income, then provide your tax return, because that's going to show that there. And if you strictly exchange services for lodging, then you're going to want to provide a contract or statement from your clients, etc. Additionally, if you do not have that, then you can provide any receipts that you have for your business, but you didn't have income. So then you can also provide your contractor, so you don't have a business license. You can provide a signed affidavit, which they state would simply be a statement that you were self-employed and the dates, and you sign it and date it. Now, I do not have the specifics from the EDD in terms of what those must include. They were very vague about that. So a signed affidavit, please let that be your last resort. Please try to send over contracts, etc. All right, Anita, what if I still have not been paid back by Bank of America after they froze my account and took all of my back pay from EDD last year on October 2020, and this year zeroed on my account and deleted it? Okay, so they froze your account, I'm guessing due to a potential fraudulent charge, and they took your back. Okay, contact your assembly member. And Annie, can you drop the link to contacting your assembly member, please, in the chat box? So contact your assembly member, let them know the problems that you're having with the B of A, EDD issue, and they will help you to sort that out. They have been very helpful in helping claimants to fix their problems with the EDD and kind of act as a go-between. The B of A and EDD issue is a problem where the two agencies have a discrepancy in how they believe that things should be carried out, and they don't actually work well together. So it is best to contact the assembly member as a third party. All right. Do I need to, okay, I already did that one. Wait a second, but it was phrased differently. Need to amend my 2020 tax return. Could I just upload PayPal statements in the meantime? Okay, you can, because that's going to show deposits into what would be hopefully registered as a PayPal business account. So yes, you can do that, but if you're going to send one document now and one document later, you might want to just amend it now and send everything together. You have 90 days from the date that the letter is sent to you in order to send this documentation. So yes, you can just send over the bank statements. They do state that that is fine and will be accepted. So you can do that. If it was me personally, I would amend my return if it had errors, and then I would send everything all together, but decide what is best for you based on your situation. All right, Lauren. Hi, Jeannie. I'm self-employed, S-Corp, not on payroll. Okay, oh, Lauren, that's a problem. Why I went on PUA. This is self-employment, just not payroll, as I was not making enough. So my taxes are Schedule C. Okay, so Lauren, there's layers to this question. Okay, first off, LLC is not a type of business entity. It's a tax classification that you elect. I have a video about this on my channel homepage, which explains it thoroughly. So you can choose to be a sole proprietor or register as an LLC if you are self-employed, right? So if you are registered as an LLC, you can choose to be taxed as an S-Corp. And you have to actually file the paperwork to do that and elect S-Corp status. If you do that, you are required to have yourself on payroll. So this worries me for you because you're saying that you're not on payroll, but I'm hoping that you're not on payroll temporarily due to the pandemic and that you were on payroll before. Maybe you could clarify for me in the chat box right now. Okay, so that's the first part of your question. Second part is your taxes are Schedule C. Can you send that in? So yes, send over your tax return because that's what they want to see. But unrelated to that problem of sending over your tax return, which that should satisfy it, I do want you to make sure that you are fulfilling all the requirements of your S-Corp status because maybe you need to switch back to being taxed as a pass-through entity. Talk to your CPA. Okay, Anita, how do I get my evidence to the class action lawsuit against Bank of America for contract breach of my B of A account? I don't have information on that. I'm sorry. You'll need to research who is handling whatever case you're referencing because there are a few different cases, and then you will need to reach out to the law firm and ask if you can become one of their claimants. All right, I had an online store and all the transactions were through PayPal. Do you think screenshots or printouts from PayPal will suffice? Yes, so they state that, well, first, number one, if you have your tax return, I recommend sending that over as document number one, because that is listed there as their kind of top priority. That shows everything that they need to know. In addition to that, yes, you can send over your transactions on PayPal. They state that receipts and bank statements are fine. So yes, go to PayPal, run a report on PayPal that shows the start dates and end dates that they ask for, and send that over to them. And I would not do it as screenshots. I would save it as a PDF. So if you can print to PDF, then do that. All right, Julia, back in March, they asked for CR. What are we talking about? CR. You got to fill me in what the initials mean. Jesus. Hold on. Jesus, why am I okay. Jesus, I'm sorry. Jesus, I saw this and read it like, oh, a Bible verse. Okay, Jesus says, why are the reasons my EDD claim could be pending? New claim. Been pending since August and no date has even been scheduled for an interview. Okay, so if you are still pending, your brand new claim, you're going to be pending for the first up to 3 weeks. 3 weeks pending is what's known as UISD review. The EDD has your claim in UISD review while they perform additional fraud checks. There's unfortunately no way to speed that up. So let's see, you've been pending since August though. August, it is now November. That is far too long. So you need to contact your assembly member. Annie can drop the link in the chat box. And then you can contact them there. All right, you guys, hold on. Julia says, let me move my stuff that I'm dripping water on. They asked for gross back in April 2020. Julia, I already addressed that. You can check my initial video that I filmed on how to file PUA. I filmed it on like April 28th when they first opened the application. It does say net on that screen. Now, you could have seen a different version of the application, so perhaps your experience was different. You're very welcome. All right, Utah, received PUA, started for February. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Having some problems. Okay. Received PUA February 2020, income tax 2019 and 2018 for proof of 18-month income. They're going to ask you for the specific dates in the letter that they send to your UI online homepage. So reference there. I don't want to tell you yes to a certain year without seeing your unique documentation. So check the letter that they send you, and then yes, send them your income tax returns from those years. In most cases, it will be for the year prior to the start of your unemployment claim. All right, are pictures of documentation good enough on the upload, or how do we upload the whole tax return? Okay, in most cases, you are going to upload it as a PDF. The accepted file formats are JPEG, I'm losing it, you guys, JPEG, PNG, PDF, and they said they accept GIFs too. So you're going to just upload the whole tax return as a PDF. Are pictures of it okay? I would not try to do pictures of it if you can scan the document. Pictures of it are technically okay, but they do have the potential to be blurry. So if you are able to scan the document and send it as a PDF or as JPEGs that have been scanned as opposed to like a photo with a cell phone, then I would opt for that. If you must take photos with a cell phone, then yes, you can do that too, but please be very careful that they are clear. All right, I filed for a new claim, then was stopped, and told I didn't make enough. Still had me certified, but all were disqualification. Okay, if you are marked as disqualified and you don't understand why, then you're going to need to contact the EDD directly to figure out the reason for disqualification. Now, you were told that you didn't make enough. Is that on your application? Or did you perhaps earn income during the week, certified for that income, and then it moved you to not being qualified to receive payments? There's some information here that you need to clarify specifically with the EDD to learn why you were disqualified. So you're going to need to contact them. Annie can post all the call tips for you. And if you can't get through to them, then I recommend contacting your assembly member because they are able to help act as a liaison between you and the EDD. So Annie can post the call tips as well as assembly member info. All right, Stacy at 331. No EDD accepts Schedule C tax return only with a net income of $5,000 or more for independent contractors. Stacy, I'm not sure what you're trying to say here. All right. You'll need to kind of reiterate your question for me. John, hi, Jenny. I sent in a spreadsheet listing multiple sources of independent contractor income for 2019 as a profit and loss document and included scans of pay statements, checks, PayPal, and Square as income. Okay, good. So you sound all set. You sent in a spreadsheet, though. Let's see, as a profit and loss. You include scans of pay statements. Yes. Okay. So you scanned all of your bank account statements and you sent those in. Is there a reason why you're not providing your tax return though? The EDD states that you can provide bank statements, you can provide receipts, etc. But send in your tax return because that is the easiest way to provide them with all the documentation that they need, very clearly stated, with all information on a government form. So please send in your tax return in addition to that. All right, Eddie, I haven't received anything from the EDD as of yet. Now, all I sent in 2019 was my 1099 form. So you're saying I need my net income, not just my 1099. Okay, so I haven't received anything from them. All you sent in was your 1099. So if you received this notification, then you should be able to send in a 1099 because that does prove that you were taking payments as a business. So that should be okay. Now, net income, this is not income verification. The requirement that people are getting right now is for work verification, proving that you were self-employed. So I do believe that they will accept 1099s, but I am asking my contact at the EDD to specifically clarify that for me to make sure that it is okay. All right, I am at hold on. I am at the place where I mess up my computer. All right. There I am. Scrolling down, you just wait awkwardly. John, I've received no request yet, but if needed, will that work to send it again? Send your tax return. If you have your 1099s, that's good, but also send your tax return. That has your Schedule C on it. That has everything that they need. Okay. El Toro, thank you very much. Thank you. I hope you're doing well also. Okay. Christar, where would I find the original form I filled out on the UI dashboard? If you're talking about your application, you have to call EDD in order to try to see if they can send that to you. Unfortunately, that's not a document that they provide access to online. So you're going to have to call in to do that. And Annie can share the call tips for trying to get through. All right, 3:35 timestamp is where I am. I'm behind because I'm trying to do lots of the questions. All right, how do you verify employment for PUA in California? Talked about that a lot during the stream, so hopefully you've gotten that information by now. But if you got the verify employment for PUA, self-employment, you're going to need to go to UI Online. In the top area, you're going to click on the Provide Documents notification that is there, and then it's going to list all the acceptable documents. But they do state that you can provide additional documents beyond that. Now, if you're self-employed, the best thing to send over is your tax return, most likely from the year prior to the start of your claim. The EDD will ask you in that notification in UI Online very specifically for the year that applies to your claim. So make sure that you check that in your UI Online. Now you're going to send over your tax return, or your Schedule C from that tax return would be the ideal document. In addition to that, they state that they also will accept contracts, a business plan, receipts, bank statements from a business bank account, or a signed affidavit. So there's lots of things you can send over, but a tax return would be ideal. Okay, Olga at 3:35. You're very welcome, Olga. Everyone who got PUA will get this notice. In a prior video, you said depending on the date a person got PUA. Ginny, my brother, got a message about this. Okay, so people who are going to receive this notification could be everyone who received PUA if the EDD is simply issuing this as a blanket statement, or it could be targeted to specific individuals. So not necessarily everyone will receive this, but specifically the EDD is trying to validate individuals who claimed self-employment on their application, that they were self-employed prior to the pandemic, or that they had a promise to start a job due to the pandemic, which was canceled. Now, in addition to that, other people who don't fall into those categories are also receiving this. So if you receive this, they're looking for you to document any claims that you made on your application. So if you said that you were employed prior to the pandemic or self-employed, they want to see your tax return to verify that, or other eligible documents. Now, sorry guys, we're sick in my house and my voice is going away. Your brother got a message about this. Yeah, so you're going to send this over to the EDD. Now, your second part of your question, which actually is the first because I did it out of order, does it apply to all dates? Now, this is a federal law that the unemployment departments must collect this documentation, and it was issued on December, its effective date is December 20th. So everything after that date is subject to being required to have this documentation. So if you had payments after December 20th, I believe it's the 20th, then you're going to be subject to providing this documentation. If you only collected before December and not after that date, then this would not apply to you. All right, Eddie. Eddie says, I was an Uber driver full-time for about 2 years before COVID-19 hit. So all I sent the EDD was my 1099 form. So on top of that, I need to send my net payment. No, you don't need to. Okay. So here's the thing is that when you applied your application, they asked you for your net income. Then back in winter time, they asked for income verification, where they were trying to obtain documents to back up what your net income was listed as. So that is when they are trying to obtain your net income. What they're asking for now is employment verification. So now they're trying to verify that you actually were self-employed. Shouldn't they be able to cross-reference those documents? You would think that they would, but they can't. So they're still asking people to send in additional documentation because they have to comply with this federal regulation. So you are going to send over your tax return. Send your tax return. Simple as that. All right. Olga, my brother got an email but went into EDD and there's no blue button to upload. Can it be a mistake? I would check back in a few days to a week and see if it is there. Sometimes they send out those notifications before they actually have populated the changes in your online account. So go and check back. He does have 90 days from when he receives the notice to be able to do this. So it's not something like he has to do it by this week, otherwise he'll be in trouble. He has 90 days to do it. So give it a few days to a week. And then if it's still not there, then I would call into EDD because customer service can push that button to upload through to your dashboard. All right, I'm at 338. Hi, Jenny. I did upload mine already on November 23rd, 2020. And my claim was renewed on January 2021. Do I still need to upload the document again? Now, I didn't receive any notice yet. You need to first wait and receive the notice. If you receive a notice asking for this, then yes, upload it again. All right, Mark Mullins at 339. EDD stated that we did not have to provide proof of income. Why do we have to provide it now? They didn't, hold on. They didn't state that you do not have to ever. It wasn't required on the initial application because it was not yet a federal law. In December of 2020, roughly, they passed a federal law requiring the unemployment departments to collect verification to verify the statements of what claimants said on their applications. So you simply will upload the documents to verify what you stated on your application. All right, Daniela, you're very welcome. I'm really glad to hear that it's been helpful. All right, Danielle says she was offered a nanny job to start the week of California shelter or to start the week of the shelter order was placed and relayed that to, I don't see the rest of your, there it is. The EDD that I was offered a job the week. Okay. They decided not decline the offer. What documents should I submit? I tried, okay, Daniela, your question confuses me a little bit because it's worded a little bit unclearly. So I'm going to kind of guess at what you're asking. So I think that they rescinded the offer. They took the offer back, right? They offered you a job, but then they couldn't provide that job due to the pandemic. Is that correct? So if so, then you are going to provide documentation to the EDD of the job offer letter. So if you had any emails back and forth, if you had text messages back and forth, anything in writing that you had, you're going to provide that to the EDD. Now, I also would try to obtain a formal statement from the person that was offering you a job if you don't have anything in writing, to make sure that you you do provide them with a statement from that actual employer or family, since it was a nanny job. Now, if you cannot provide a statement from that potential employer, then you can provide a signed affidavit from yourself stating basically the entire situation and signing your name to it to the EDD. But I strongly would encourage you to try to make sure that you provide documentation from that potential employer specifically, and have them send that over to you so that you can provide it to the EDD. Okay. All right, Kim at 342. My notice says to provide documents for 2019 and until March 2020. Does that mean I have to send tax returns for 2019 and 2020, or is 2019 sufficient? Okay, so let me show you the notice so that you see this wording on the notice. That's not the notice. Hold on. There it is. Okay, so it states, now the dates here are going to be unique to your own claim. So just because my notice says 2019, check your own unique notice for your date. Okay, so it says you must provide documents to show that you were planned to be self-employed or employed at some point between this date and this date. Select at least one form of document from the selection below that best applies to you. This is not a complete list. And then right below it here, it says documentation does not need to cover the entire period which you were working. Providing more than one document could help, but is not necessary. So it states right there on the notice, you do not have to provide documentation for the entire time frame. You just have to provide something that shows that you were employed or self-employed during that time frame at some point. So no, you don't have to send it all, but it doesn't hurt to. Okay. Oh, we're not showing. Hold on. Where's the question? David, okay, hold on. I'm going to get Kim and then I'll get David. Trying to get past personal commentary so I can find questions. I'm sorry, to clarify, it says between 2019 and 2020. Do I provide both tax returns? So you can do just one is okay, but it doesn't hurt to send them both. So if it's an easy upload, then send them both. All right, David, I've been working as a film extra since 2019, but it's only a couple times per year. I get a W-2. I qualified for PUA based on that job, but will it be enough to pass the latest verification? Yes, so they're asking you to provide documentation on the claims that you made on your application. So your application, I'm sure you stated your work situation as it was. So you're just going to provide your tax return because that includes that W-2 information on it, and you should be good to go. All right, Gilbert. One sec. Kim, you're very welcome. Violetta, thank you. David Thompson, thank you for joining as a member. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Okay, Gilbert, I filed my taxes and I was just wondering when I will receive money from the $10,200 tax break if I no longer live at the address and no longer have the bank account used previously. Okay, the $10,200 tax break, the majority, I don't have the exact numbers. I want to say that a large portion of those payments have already gone out. However, the IRS has not completed paying out the additional remainder of the $10,200 tax break on unemployment payments for individuals who already had paid into federal taxes for their unemployment. There is no specific dates released on when they will finish paying this out. Now, because you no longer are at the same address, and because you also no longer have the same bank account, there's going to be several delays in you receiving your payment once it is dispersed. So most likely, I can't tell you exactly when, but I would anticipate further delays because you did close that bank account and they're going to have to send it out to you as a check. That check is going to most likely be mailed to the address that the IRS has on file, and then it's going to be redirected from your mail. So I can't tell you exactly when it will come through. I'm sorry. When I do have additional updates from the IRS, I'll do my best to share. Okay. Did that one. I did that one. Lottery 209, what happens if you don't verify your address? I just moved to my new house, have no papers in my name yet. Okay, so if you don't verify your address, then the EDD will not provide you with benefits. So your claim's not going to move forward until you verify that address. It's going to be denied, and then you're going to have to enter into the appeals process to overturn that denial, which is a very long process, which can take anywhere from 4 months up to 8 months for the appeals process. So if you can't verify your address, then try to get some sort of documentation down for that address before that claim gets denied. So try to get a bill sent to your address in your name so that you can verify it. A utility bill, etc. So that's kind of the best I can tell you with that. All right, 346. Timestamp. Is a job offer letter enough, or do we have to have a letter saying the job offer was rescinded? So a job offer letter should suffice, but it's going to be much stronger if you can get a statement from that employer saying that the job was canceled due to COVID. If you have a job offer letter, it doesn't necessarily prove that the job was canceled due to COVID. It doesn't prove that you accepted the job. It doesn't prove why you didn't start working there. So it could be accepted by the EDD, but I would reach out to the employer and I would try to get documentation from them stating that they had canceled the job due to the pandemic. Now, how did they communicate to you that the job was canceled? Did they communicate through email, through text, or through phone? If it's in writing, then screenshot that documentation and send that over with the job offer letter. That would be the scenario where it's okay to send that job offer letter and it should get approved. But if you don't have that written documentation of them sending an email, a text message, etc., with their name and business attached to it, that the job was canceled, then reach out to the employer and have them create just a simple letter stating that they offered you a job, that they were not able to actually employ you due to the pandemic. All right, Leo, what's the minimum amount for self-employed to file for 2019? So there was no minimum amount. There's not really a minimum amount. If the pandemic got in the way of your plans to start a business, like if you had taken out a business license, if you had filed for a seller's permit, if you had set up a website, etc., then you had plans for self-employment, that would qualify you for the minimum amount of PUA, which is $167. Likewise, if you had a job offer which didn't come to fruition, that would qualify you as well for PUA. So there's not a minimum amount of earnings, but rather COVID had to impact your ability to actually work when you were trying to work. Is there any way to look at the net income amount we put on our PUA application? I think I might have put an extra $1,000 when I only made $2,000 on my tax return. You're going to need to call the EDD to access your application. Unfortunately, they don't have it anywhere available online. Annie can post the call tips for you in the chat box right now so that you can hopefully get through to the EDD. All right, Donna at 346. Hi, Donna. What if we don't have any documents like taxes, 1099, etc.? Donna, in the chat box, you need to let me know more about your specific situation. Were you self-employed or were you not employed, but you had to stay home with a child? Were you Did you have a job offer that was canceled? I need to know more about your situation so I can help you. So Donna, put it in the chat box down below, and I'll look back over there to see in a minute. My voice is struggling, you guys. It's a day. Everyone's sick here, and I'm like feverish today. I was like really red at the start, and now my voice is gone. So it's not the best day for a live stream. I'm sorry. Okay, Mark at 3:47. What if I did not file 1099 for income verification? Okay, so let me clarify what 1099 here is, because that's not something that. So a 1099 is going to be issued to you when you provide contract services for a third party. If you are paid $600 or more, then that third party, either a person or a business, is going to have to issue you a 1099 in order to deduct that from their taxes and state that they paid you that base above that base amount. So it's required if you earn $600 or more. Once you receive that 1099, then you're required to input it into your income taxes. Now, if you're self-employed and you receive a 1099, you have to input that information into your income taxes. But if you're self-employed and you don't receive a 1099, you still have to claim your self-employment income if it is in the amount of $400 or more in net income. So what if you didn't file 1099 income verification? Well, did you receive a 1099 and you didn't file it? In that case, you need to amend your taxes and you need to claim that so that you're square in the eyes of the IRS. Consult your CPA. I'm not a tax professional. Additionally, if you did not receive a 1099 and you did have self-employment income over $400, but you also didn't put that on your taxes, please amend your return, because I don't want you to get in trouble or have penalties continue to accrue with the IRS. Consult your CPA. Now, with regards to the EDD, if you did not input a 1099, or if you didn't receive a 1099, or if you did not include income on your tax return that you should have, then you obviously can't provide your tax return as is to the EDD. So this is a government agency and they are asking for government documents. So amend your tax return, claim everything on there so that you're good in the eyes of the IRS, and then provide that document to the EDD. Now, with that being said, the EDD also has stated that instead of a tax return, or you're saying 1099s, but I'm going to default to the larger tax return. The EDD has stated that instead of a tax return, they also will accept additional ways to prove that you were self-employed. So this can be a business license. This can be contracts. This can be an EIN number. This can be they say a written business plan or a signed affidavit. Please send a signed affidavit as the last resort, because that one is really loose. Try to stick to a tax return, business license, etc. if you're able to do so. I need water. All right. Did I do this one yet? If you made more than $400 net income, then you had to file taxes. That is correct. Under the table, odd jobs here and there. Okay. There's, gosh. Okay, so this is not coming from a place of judgment at all, because I know how hard it is to be self-employed and live in California. But I want you guys to not be subject to having claimed government benefits, stating a certain income, not claiming taxes on that income, then having to provide that documentation to the government, come back to bite you in terms of the IRS penalties, fees, etc. So if you're working under the table, if you're getting paid all cash, if you earn over $400 and above, then you are required, and I have it right here, so I might as well put it on screen so that you guys see that I'm not just choosing a random number. You are required to file self-employed income taxes if you earn net $400 or above in self-employment income. So for those of you that drive for Uber, and I have a video coming out on this, those of you that drive for Uber, Lyft, they're not required to send you a tax form until you hit the 1099K requirements, which are 200 transactions and $20,000. You're still required to claim that income on your tax return, even if you don't receive a 1099K, because it's self-employed income. It is different than the low income rules for W-2 earners. So IRS penalties accrue as time goes on. So it's really more beneficial. I know it's hard to amend your taxes, claim that, maybe take out a payment plan through the IRS to lessen the tax penalties. Now, how do you prove it to the EDD if you did not claim it on your taxes? Well, I would strongly recommend that you fix it on your taxes, because while they might not necessarily cross-reference with a tax return with the IRS that they can't access, so you just send them a signed affidavit, I don't want to have this come back around and bite you later on with taxes and penalties and fees and overpayments, etc. Amend your taxes, send your taxes to the EDD. Now, with that being said, the EDD also does state that you can provide business license, written business plans, what else? Your bank statements, credit card processor, etc. Now, you are under the table jobs here and there. So that is my advice for you, would be make sure you claim it on your taxes, submit the taxes. If you're not going to do that, the EDD has stated that you could provide a signed affidavit. All right. I made $0 in 2019. If we have to pay it all back, how does that work? And if one does not have the means to do so, what is the punishment? Okay, you made $0 in 2019. As long as you were honest on your application and you stated that you made $0 in 2019, you didn't falsify any information, then you shouldn't have been approved based on the information that you provided. So the EDD is not going to have you pay back your benefits if they approved you based on the information you provided and there is no errors. They didn't make a mistake. You didn't make a mistake. You were qualified. So if they're asking for documentation and you didn't work, but you were qualified based on the fact that you had plans to work and the pandemic got in the way with that, then you're going to provide your tax return, and that backs up what you said on your application, that you didn't earn anything. If you didn't file a tax return, then you're going to provide documentation that you were trying to resume work, that you're trying to build a business, so a business plan, a signed affidavit, etc. What time is it? 4:26. All right, I am going to do, how much more? Maybe 10 more minutes? There's still almost 200 people in here, though. All right, scrolling down. Maria, 349. I didn't apply for 1099 EXT. I didn't get anything, zero claim. Oh, Maria, I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. Can you please rephrase it and ask it again below, and we'll see if I'm able to get to you. Okay, Daryl, when everyone was locked down and had to mask up, I was kept in the hospital until Thursday. Upon discharge, I told the cardiologist I intended to drive for Uber. She said, under no circumstances may I do that. She said to stay home and lay low. Should I just send the EDD that info letter? Okay, so in order to qualify for unemployment benefits through PUA, it has to be related to the pandemic. If you are injured, if you are sick, if you are under doctor's orders and you are not able to work due to medical reasons, then that is a disability claim technically and does not qualify you to receive PUA. So providing that letter will disqualify you from receiving PUA benefits. All right, request not income verify and only got min. Why do you say 2020 1040 Schedule C not valid? What? Oh, my friend, what are we saying? Self-employed taxes, etc. prior to claim per EDD request. I could include affidavit. John Carlos, I'm sorry. We got to rephrase it with full words, my friend, so I understand. I'm going to try again when you ask it a little more clearly. Okay, does the documentation you provide have to exactly match the net income amount you put on your PUA application? So the EDD right now is looking to verify your form of employment previously. So they are right now not necessarily stating that they are going to be cross-referencing the amount. They could, but they are asking for this documentation to verify that you were self-employed. So they could cross-reference it, and they could find a discrepancy, and then they could issue you an overpayment. That's not the purpose necessarily right now, because they did income verification back in winter, but that could happen if they don't see that your numbers line up. Yes, the numbers do need to match. So if you do find an error, I would take it upon myself to correct it yourself proactively so that you aren't hit with a false statement penalty or anything like that. Okay, scrolling down. I did do taxes regardless of worked or not, was all the PUA. Okay. So if you did taxes, you're going to provide your tax return. Okay, Lauren, you're very welcome. Yes, I was not on payroll due to the pandemic, and we're putting me back on payroll this coming year. Is this okay for proof for the EDD despite the corporate? Yes, yes. And it sounds like you did the right thing, that your business closed, therefore you went off of payroll. So you're in a unique situation. Well, it's not unique, but it's unique amongst the questions that I've been receiving today. So you are an owner-employer, so you employ yourself. You're listed as an employee, and you're on your own payroll. So your employer, you can list out in a letter stating that you were closed due to the pandemic on your own letterhead with your EIN number, etc. State that you are an employer and an employee of your own business, and then provide your payroll documentation from yourself and your taxes, and send that over to the EDD, and you should be all set. Okay. All right, David, am I using a Tiffin red? No, I'm not. You like the look. I don't like this look. It's a partially broken sensor in my camera. So this is this is a Canon Mark IV, 5D Mark IV, and it's kind of hard to do video on this one because it doesn't have a flip out screen. But a common problem with this camera is that it gets a really strong magenta tint to it. And mine just started doing that, and I have to send it into Canon. So it's not a filter. I don't like how it looks, but I'm using this camera today because my other ones were more difficult to hook up. You're very welcome. Thank you. Your wife and you work in wedding and event photographers. Oh, good. All right. I'm glad to hear that. Our work stopped with COVID. Our first city concert events just started up in September. It's not, yeah, it's this season and next year are going to be much, probably, well, this season was a hard one with weddings because they all were booked all right together in the same area within 2 months of each other. There was lots because everyone had to reschedule at the same time. All right, I just joined. Do I need the 2019 taxes and 2020? What you need to do is you need to locate the year that the EDD needs for your unique claim. So you are going to go into UI Online. In the top area, you're going to find a section, and it will have a blue link that says Upload Documents if you are required to provide this. You then are going to click on that link, and then you will find a letter that looks like this. Only the dates here are going to say your unique dates for your claim because everyone's claim started at a different date. So yours is going to be based on the start date for your claim. And yes, you can provide your tax return. Okay. Showed 0 for 2019 and a little in 2020. We recently filed in our accountant. Okay, David, I don't see the rest of your question. I'm sorry. Okay, how do you prove that you were or plan to be self-employed or employed at some point between January through March? How do you prove that? So self-employed, that you were or plan to be. Well, which one were you? Were you self-employed or did you plan to be? If you were self-employed, then send in your tax return for that time period. And if you plan to be self-employed, then you are going to provide anything that you did to start to set up your business. So this can be a business license that you applied for, seller's permit that you applied for, a written business plan, if you built a website, if you paid lease for rent for a space, if you leased a shop space, etc., then you're going to send that over to the EDD. Hey, Zeus, you're very welcome. I can't read your name. I wish I could. I did landscaping, but I didn't file my taxes. What can I use as proof of employment? I got paid cash. Okay, so if you got paid tax, losing it. If you got paid cash, you didn't file your taxes. The EDD states that you can provide business license, all the things I just listed, right? I think I just listed them, so I'm not going to list them again. So any of the documentation surrounding your business, if you have contracts, a business license, etc., you can provide all of that. Last resort, a signed affidavit. But you say you didn't file taxes. If you earn $400 or more in self-employment income in your net amount, then you do need to claim that in your tax return. So make sure that you amend your taxes, claim it, and then you can also send that over. Okay, let's see. I did that one. I did that one. I'm scrolling down. Okay, Buddy Love says, EDD is asking me for documents when I did not work in 2019 or January 2020. I only have 2019 tax returns and no proof of looking for work. What do I do? Okay, so they're asking you for tax returns, but you didn't work. So how were you approved for PUA? Were you approved for PUA because the pandemic was in your way of actually getting a job? Did you have a job offer which was canceled? If you had a job offer which was canceled due to the pandemic, then you'll provide that letter, either an offer letter, an email from the employer, or written statement from the employer. If you don't have that, then you are going to provide your tax return, just because they might as well have that to have on hand to see that you didn't have any income. And they're asking for that tax return, so you might as well send it. But you can then provide a signed affidavit, a statement stating your entire scenario, basically how the pandemic impacted your work search. Sign it, date it, and send that over. Okay, Chris, at 4 o'clock. Oh gosh, I need to get to some more recent comments. When will they start sending notifications to recipients, and up to what date? To the end of the month. Okay, so they have already begun sending out these notices to PUA claimants starting a few days ago on the 10th. So go to your UI Online dashboard. They may not send you a written notice in the mail, and they may not send you a text notification. Mine was just sitting there in my UI Online dashboard. And as someone who only collected unemployment benefits for a few months, a long time ago, unless I was running a YouTube channel on EDD, I would not know to go check my dashboard, but it was sitting there waiting for me. So go and check every week and see if it's there. Once you have it there, then you have 90 days to submit that information. Now, when will they finish rolling these out? We don't have a date announced yet. All right, I'm going to do 10 more minutes of questions. Sorry, Annie, I'm keeping you longer than I said. Let me know if you need to go. All right. I generate income through rental property. I reported through Schedule E. Does this qualify as self-employment? Also, I have an LLC or startup which generated $0 in income in 2019. Will this qualify? Yes. So does this qualify? So rental property is self-employment. Okay. Send over your whole tax return because it has all of those documents in it. It's going to show that you had self-employment income in both of those ways. And even though you earned $0, yes, that still qualifies you because you have proof that you were self-employed, that you were trying to be self-employed, that you were setting up a business, or maybe it took a loss that year. I can't say, but it shows that you were trying to be self-employed with that LLC. So yes, send over your tax return and that will verify you. Lottery, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. I really appreciate that. All right, scrolling down. you guys, as a reminder, I can't get all the questions in the chat because there are usually about like 2,000 messages that come through in a live stream. So I do have to skip down every so often, and I cannot get all the questions. So re-ask your question if I did not get to it, and I'll get a few more before I'm done. Okay, Michelle, how long before we are informed if the documents are accepted? I do not have a date on that right now. The EDD has not released how long they will take to process these, unfortunately. All right, I'm at 417, Bachay's Kitchen. Hi, Jenny. What if the job offer is just verbal? How can I prove that there's a job offer? You're going to contact that employer and you're going to ask them to write you up a document with their business information in the letterhead. So they need to write their business name, they need to write their EIN number, etc. Have them write a statement. On this date, I offered a job to this person. They accepted the job. I was no longer able to provide the job because the pandemic caused us to close our business or limit our staff, etc. Have them sign it, and then send that over to the EDD. Okay, I'm at 418 in the questions. Hi, Jenny. Is it okay to send my tax returns for 2019 to 2020? EDD asked me to provide proof from these dates, 2019 to 2020. Yeah, so you're going to send over your tax returns to EDD. Sending 2 years is better than sending one if they give you a date range that spans 2 years. So yes, go ahead and send those over. Okay, Ashley at 426. My boyfriend just got a notice saying that he was overpaid $14,000. He was a victim of identity theft two years ago. He worked the whole pandemic, about 1 month. How did his job allow this? Okay, that's really unfortunate. I'm very sorry to hear that. There's an identity department of the EDD. He needs to contact the identity department. So search, I don't have the phone number for you right now, but do a Google search, type in EDD identity department and find that phone number. I also have the phone number in my 25 phone numbers to call EDD video. Annie, if I gave you that video link, can you share it in the chat, the 25 phone numbers? So that phone number for the identity department is in that video. So have him call into that department. Additionally, contact your assembly member, and Annie can share the link in the chat box right now for how to contact your assembly member to try to get help to get this problem fixed. Okay. Michael, verbal job offer, which I accepted February 2020, and then everything shut down. Okay, so you are going to need to contact that employer, ask them to write you a written statement, including their business information and that they issued you a job offer and that you were not able to take it because closures due to the pandemic. So have them do that. If the employer is non-responsive, then the EDD states they will accept a signed affidavit from you, but try to get the statement from the employer because that is the most strong way to back up that statement. Okay. Change it in the settings. What do you? I don't know what that means. All right. All done. What happens if you don't send anything? If you don't send anything, then the EDD has the right from the federal government, the Department of Labor, and they are, not only do they have the right, but they are instructed to do so. They're under these instructions to not verify your claim. They don't verify the information that is on your application. They're under federal law that was created in winter of 2020 to verify that information. If they can't verify it, then your claim is invalid. That means that all the money that you received from the EDD is invalid and would be issued as an overpayment. Now that means that you then have to pay that money back to the EDD plus an up to 30% penalty. So provide the documentation. So if they're asking for proof of self-employment, send over your tax return from the year prior or one of the other documents that they state is possible. Okay. All right, John Carlos, didn't have a 2019 filing requirement. Did work January till March 2020 prior to claim. Filed taxes, including Schedule C. Can we submit that? Your claim is 2020. John, you're saying two conflicting statements here, that you didn't have a 2019 filing requirement, but you did file. So if you did file, then yes, send your taxes. That's what they're looking for. Okay, I did that one. I did that one. Scrolling down, I'm going to get 3 more questions. All right, Cyan at 441. My boyfriend is a tattoo artist, did not file taxes in 2019, but just started working in December 2019 to 2020, right before the pandemic. He does have individual receipts of the work he did. Will that suffice? Okay, so if he earned $400 or more in net income for self-employment, he's required to file taxes. So if he didn't file taxes, then and he does meet those thresholds, then I would strongly recommend that he does file those taxes even if they're late, because they can continue to accrue additional penalties. With that being said, if he does choose to file based on that, he would then provide that tax return to the EDD. Now, if he is not required to file because he earned less than $400, then yes, the EDD states that they, in addition to tax returns, would also accept receipts, invoices, contracts, etc. So yes, they do state that they would accept that. Daryl, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, Isaiah, what if landlord doesn't participate in rent relief? If a landlord doesn't participate in rent relief, then you still will receive the rent relief, but it does delay the process. So Housing is Key reaches out to the landlords to see if they will participate. They're required to do so, and they're required to make, I think it is 3, yes, it's 3 attempts. This is in my Zoom Q&A with the Housing is Key department. I don't remember her title. Housing is Key department lady. And so they say that they have to contact your landlord and make 3 attempts to see if they will work with Housing is Key because it's faster. They're required to do so. If they don't respond, they have to keep waiting and trying for 3 times. And then if they still don't respond, or if they do not comply, then they will go back to working with you, and then they will send the funds directly to you. So you still will be able to participate in it and receive those funds, but it unfortunately will be more delayed. All right, Jazz, you skipped my question at 407. Yes, I do have to skip around because there are so many messages. Unfortunately, this is the message I see from you, and no, I cannot scroll up and look for a timestamp. I'm sorry. Just re-ask it down below, and we'll see if I can get to it. All right, Stacy, I got offered a babysitting gig in 2020, but COVID hit, so then I couldn't work. I don't have any messages because my phone went in the water, causing it to not work. So would a letter work? I'm sorry. Okay, got offered a babysitting job in 2020, COVID hit. So yes, you're going to ask that family that was going to hire you to create a letter for you so that they can make that statement, have them include the dates that they were going to employ you, have them include your name, the date, sign it, and date it. How many times did I say date? You're then going to send that over to the EDD. Okay. Hi, Jen. Thank you. Okay, David. Mr. Answer. I'm sorry, David. You can watch it in the replay and you will be able to hear it. Okay. Can I just send a copy of my notary public certification from the Secretary of State of California to show that I'm self-employed? Yes. You never made enough to file taxes. Yes. If you earned under $400, then you're in self-employment net income. You're not required to file taxes. So yes, you can send over your Secretary of State certification. That is definitely fine. A lot of people are on PUA due to false penalty weeks. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I have been unconditionally approved for over 5 weeks now with United Rental 2-in-1 here in Riverside. The process is taking so long. I'm really sorry to hear that. The rental assistance programs are taking months to get payments out, and the mortgage assistance program has taken months to even get approved from the Treasury and hasn't even started taking applications. Everything is so slow. I'm very sorry to hear that. Okay, I'm going to do one last question. That's it. What remote jobs pay the most? that don't require, oh, unrelated. Okay. What remote jobs pay the most that don't require a degree? I know you've made similar videos. I did make videos like that. Okay. It varies so much depending on your skill set, what technology you have access to, what skills you have self-taught yourself with various technology, where your talents lie. So I can't give a straight answer for that. If you don't have a degree and you aren't able to seek out additional advancements with your career, there's a lot of different options. I do have several different, I'm just going to redirect you to my videos because that's such a big topic and there is such a big variety in terms of skill sets with that that's going to impact what you're able to do. There's no simple answer to that. I have several videos on my channel homepage. One of them goes through and talks about teaching courses and tutoring on OutSchool, which a lot of people make money on. One video talks about selling online courses through KAJABI if you want to set up a business. One video talks about creating and selling digital products on Etsy or creating a store to sell, etc., products, things like that. There's a lot of different things that you can do, but they're all so different. There is no way. Now, additionally, those are self-employed topics. I have a video that shows where to locate remote jobs, not self-employed ideas that you could start quickly, but remote jobs. So I'm not going to generalize and say what types of jobs those are because those are all across the board, but go to my channel homepage and click for search for remote jobs. And you'll find a video there that shows several different websites where you can search remote job specific websites. And there's lots of unique options there that aren't shared very frequently, but are big platforms for finding remote work. All right, we are getting to the point where I am slurring my speech because I'm tired and my voice is almost gone. So I am going to be all done for the day. I have already butchered many of your names and messed up many of your questions where I had to reread them 3 times. So it's time to end my stream. You're very welcome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. All right, you guys. When will I have another live video chat? I do not know. Right now, I'm not doing a regular live stream date. It's just not a way that I'm able to carve out a dedicated piece of my time to right now. I'm spread across a lot of different things. So right now, I'm not doing a regular live stream date, but I will announce one in the future sometime. And then you will be subscribed to my channel and you will see it pop up. So thank you for asking. All right, you guys, I will talk to you next time. Wait, I just put this one on screen. That's just mean to end the stream if I click on a question. I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to go. Any estimated time frame on when the EDD will send notification of approval, non-approval regarding the PUA work history? No. It's a simple answer. There's no estimated time frame. All right, you guys, now I'm really going to go. I'll see you next time.